Hello everybody and welcome to Archives Live. I'm Samantha Mackey and I'm here with David Peters, head of the OSU Archives. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine in finals week. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Okay.
So today we're in the DeBow room and today we're going to be unboxing some of the items from the archives. So if you have any questions, comments, or stories, you can put them in the comment section and we'll read them live on stream today. So David, what would you like to get started with today?
Well, we'll start with the smallest box and see what happens. So
Okay.
I'm not sure what exactly we have, but we will start revealing. So it says a sugar bowl pin, and that's exactly what it is. So the Oklahoma State, actually Oklahoma A&M at the time, Aggies were in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans in 1946, and so this was a pin that people, especially a woman, could wear. The 1945 team has now been declared our national champions for that year, and they celebrated that by winning the Sugar Bowl in 1946. I can't remember who they played. It may have been St. Mary's. Whoever it was, they tromped them. But this was a little pin that you could wear, and luckily someone kept theirs, so we have it here. So it's just a 1946 Oklahoma A&M Sugar Bowl, New Orleans, the football at the bottom. So that's item number one.
So these pins, women would wear them?
Women would wear them, kind of like a corsage.
Okay.
But you get a pin. And so it doesn't say winner yet, so I'm assuming they may have even worn it, in preparation for the game. So, all right. So that's number one. Oh, this is a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier. Let's see what we got here. Oh, okay. So our dairy department here has been quite active for over 100 years. And what they did is they produced, these are ice cream molds.
Oh, wow.
Or you could also put butter in them. You could, so they would make these for special dinners. You could order your ice cream or your butter, but usually it was ice cream made in the shape of a chicken.
Can you hold it up so we can all see it a little better?
So here's the chicken one. Let's see, it was simply a mold, and so they could fill it with ice creim, and then they would freeze it.
That's really cool.
And then they would serve. You could serve a frozen chicken delight. But there's a number of them. There's the chicken. Here was a flour mold.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they would fill it, and so it made just events a little more festive. We've got a couple more here. This almost looks like Santa. I think it is Santa. How appropriate for the holiday season. So there's another mold. And then if you prefer pork rather than chicken, you could get yours in the shape of a pig. So here's a pig mold. We also have one for Old Central. So that's not currently in the box, but we have an Old Central mold. But they were very popular, but they would fill them, then freeze them, and then serve them at special dinners. And so it was all part of the dairy department. And so they would do things in different ways. Anyway, so those are, I didn't know those were going to be on the program today. So those are molds used for formal dinners and presentation dinners. So, okay. And now to, I think, our biggest box of the day. Let's see what we have here. So I believe, this is from George Stewart. George Morris and Stuart Thomas from Topeka, Kansas, mid-1950s. This is a jacket. I have to stand here so people can see what it is. But it's actually, let me just hold it up. But it's a very nice orange, the brightest shade of orange.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's the right tone or not, but it's a jacket from Oklahoma State University. So this has got to be after 1956, 57. And looks like the library featured here on the.
That's really cool.
So it's a very nice jacket, and I'm not sure what size it is. I think I'm probably too big, but anyway, so it's a beautiful jacket. So we do have clothing items. Also, we don't have a lot of clothing items, but we do have things like that in our collections. And so this is just one example of that.
Well, while we're boxing this up, we have a comment from Bonnie on the ice cream molds.
Okay.
And she said, please tell me that you've tested the ice cream molds. And then she suggested maybe on an upcoming Archives Live.
So we have not tested the archives, the molds on Archives Live. That would be something interesting to do. Maybe we could work with the dairy, see if they could help us out with that. That's a good idea, Bonnie. Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. Nothing I like better than a little ice cream. So we will try that. See what happens. We'll have to get Old Central out too and get it included.
That'd be fun.
And I don't know, we just have one. I don't know if they had multiple copies of the molds, and we just got one sample from each one, or whether they'd have to do each individual one. I mean, I can't imagine how long it would take if you had to do it for a large group. So, all right. So this is just a box of OSU memorabilia. Oh, and this has, some of you may have seen these before, but these were beanies. Beanies were distributed to freshmen when they first arrived here. You didn't get a beanie when you arrived here, did you?
Did not, no.
Did not, okay. So beanies were worn by freshmen. They were assigned to them by the sophomores who had to wear them the previous year, of course. And so they wanted to make sure that the freshmen had to suffer the same indignities that they had the year before. So they were just sharing that experience with the freshman class. They came in a number of different styles, but generally they were orange and black. This one has little ribbons on it. Some of them people would sign, but it was mandatory for freshmen to wear a beanie when they were on campus, and sophomores enforced that. The beanies were quite popular beginning in the probably late 20s, in the 30s and 40s, but with World War II ending and the GI Bill bringing a number of older students to campus, the popularity of beanies quickly died when you were trying to force a 26-year-old veteran of serving in the European theater saying you've got to wear a beanie. He'd say, heck no, I'm not going to wear a beanie. And so beanies became more difficult to enforce the wearing of beanies by freshmen. So, but it was very popular. We have very few beanies, actually. It was popular to have a bonfire at the end of your freshman year. And so freshmen would show up with their beanies and throw them in the fire. And so most of them were destroyed in the bonfire at the end of their freshman years. So we have very few. This is just one example of them that we have. So that's a beanie from OAMC. Okay.
So we have,
sorry. No more questions.
We have a question from Bonnie, and she wants to know if there's any special steps that are taken to preserve textiles like the jacket.
So I'm not sure if you saw, but we have special papers that are acid neutral. What you try to do is create as few creases as possible. And so like the sleeves had this paper slipped into the sleeves to kind of get them some volume to them. And also it provides a little more volume to the item, so the folds aren't quite as severe because you've got paper in there. But it's all acid-free paper, and then we put them in acid-free boxes, and then we try to present them in the box so they don't have to be folded very many times. Occasionally we'll have large items that will have to be folded, but we try to avoid that. Like that jacket was, the whole length of the jacket was in one box. And that's what we try to do with materials like that. We just try to provide a stable environment for them, a clean, dry environment, an acid-free environment. Some things require a little more special attention, but most things, if they've been cleaned and cared for, they'll last fairly long. And so we do kind of monitor them though. One of the things we're concerned about with textiles and other materials, sometimes you could bring in pests with them. If any kind of insect pests have infested that, you have to make sure that those are stopped. Otherwise, you're going to infest everything else. And so we try to make sure that things are stable and clean when we first package them up. So, and if they're not, we try to sterilize them and make sure they're in that condition before we add them to our collections. So thanks for the question, Bonnie.
Then we have another question from William. He wants to know if he can borrow the beanie.
No, he will not be able to borrow this beanie. I'll show him the beanie, and he's happy to construct one just like it that he could wear around proudly. But no, our materials, we do loan materials out at times, but for display purposes and not for people to wear. But thanks for the question, William.
Great.
Okay, so let's put this back in the box real quick.
Okay. Well, if you are just now joining us, this is Archives Live, and this month we are unboxing a few items from the archives. So if you have any comments, questions, or stories you'd like to share, you can put them in the comment section, and we will read them live on stream today. So, David, what's up next?
All right. So I'm not sure. This is part of our Tony Hillerman book collection. Hopefully many of you are aware of Mr. Hillerman and his writing, especially of the Southwest. And so this is a special collection of books. I think we have almost all or perhaps all of his works in a collection that was purchased recently. And I'm not sure if this one is. Many of them were autographed by Mr. Hillerman. He did visit us. He was one of our speakers for our Friends Dinner. This has been a while back. Yes, this is autographed by Mr. Tony Hillerman. So most of this set are. But he and his wife came for the dinner, and they were just a lovely couple. And I was fortunate enough to be able to take them on a tour of campus. He had attended here for a short time, and so we went around campus. And then he also wanted a tour of Stillwater, so then we ended up going around Stillwater and talked. And it was a lovely day, and he did a wonderful job that evening as our Library Friends Dinner speaker that year. But like I said, this is a new set that we had recently purchased. I'm trying to be very careful with it. I may hold off putting that up. There, got it. So that's a boxed book. There's another one in here. It's probably another boxed book from Tony Hillerman. The Best American Mystery Stories of the Century. Tony Hillerman was editor, so he, yeah. I'm going to leave this one in here. It's safe and secure in here. I'm almost guarantee it's probably also signed by him. Most of the books we purchased from that series were autographed by Mr. Hillerman. So, and we're really pleased and honored to have that. And the dean was very supportive in us acquiring the Hillerman collection. So, okay, Tony Hillerman. What do we got next? Box 3. What does box 3 have in it? We'll find out. Oh. Okay. I'm going to stand up again just so I can get a better view. And okay, so Della Thomas. Her husband was on the faculty here, and she was in charge of our, that's now used to be, the children's library at the time, used to be up on the 5th floor. But she had an interest in Alice in Wonderlands, and so Alice in Wonderland. And so she began collecting books and items, all kinds of materials about Alice and Alice's world, things by Lewis Carroll. And so we have a Della Thomas collection. It's a fairly significant and substantial collection. So here's one of the books in that set, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Let's see, there's another, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Oh, and she has them in all languages, styles, children's versions, so it's really quite a, but then the amazing thing, any kind of collectible related to Alice. And so we have the Queen, and here we have Alice, and of course the hair. So, but there are chess sets with Alice, made of Alice characters. There are candles. There are dolls. There are, if it has anything to do with Alice in Wonderland, and Della Thomas was able to collect it, she did. She and her husband and then her son Peter also operated the Caravan Bookstore. And first it was just off of University and Knobloch for a long time, and then later moved downtown. But they had the bookstore, and she collected Alice in Wonderland materials. So, okay,
So how big is this collection?
Oh my gosh, there's at least maybe 20, 25 boxes,
wow.
Bigger than this, of Alice material. It's a very substantial and large collection, and it was very wonderful of the Thomases to provide that to us. So we're very appreciative of that. So this is material from Alice in Wonderland, part of the Della Thomas collection. Okay, let's see what else we got next. All right. Oh, okay. So James Cotton lives in Southern California, part of the Hollywood community. But he is a voter. He's a member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Entertainment, I think. I'm not sure what the official title is, but he's a part of the Academy. And so for years now, he receives television and film productions as a part of these productions' efforts to garner his votes when it comes to awards. And so he's been receiving these materials for a long time. And so, Paul, in the last 5 to 10 years, he sent us numerous shipments then of this material. And so it's a rather unique set of material, and includes not only oftentimes the shows themselves, but then the promotional materials related to that. And so, especially someone interested in things like marketing might benefit from looking at this collection, even if they have no interest in the movies themselves, but how these things are presented to voters in the Academy. And so it's a fairly substantial, in fact, significant collection of material that James has given to us. This just happens to be from an HBO series, movies, limited series, specials, and documentaries. And then it's just a box set for Emmy consideration in 2015. So HBO created this packet of stuff for him to, I guess, look at and hopefully garner his vote. I don't know how he voted, but so this is a part of the James Cotton collection. And it's unique material. It's most of it, early on, it's mostly VHS tape. Now it's mostly DVDs and CDs, that version of material. And so what we've tried to do is once again, it's in stable containers, but then we're moving it to our best environment because it is a media. And so we're trying to make sure it lasts for a long time. And I don't know how much people, I mean, it's very difficult for us to actually play this material. It's hard to come up with the equipment anymore. But I do think for things like marketing and promotion, it would be a wonderful collection to look at. And if we had to, we could make probably the individual items available for viewing. That would just take a little more work. So anyway, that's part of the James Cotton collection.
Great.
Okay, what do we have next here? Oh, this is a fairly recent collection this year. It's the Melinda Barry Fisher collection. Many people in Stillwater and familiar with Oklahoma State University will know Melinda Barry Fisher. She served as the second young woman from Oklahoma State, Oklahoma A&M, to serve as the maid of cotton. It was a position that served to represent cotton, use of cotton textiles. And so the queen who was elected then would travel the United States promoting cotton and use of cotton, and oftentimes then travel internationally. And so she traveled extensively, especially in Europe, I think even in North Africa. And so she has recently begun sharing her collection of materials with us. Here's some examples. She had a number of different outfits that she would wear as she was traveling. I'm not sure how many suitcases she would, but she had kind of an entourage. She had people who would help her, and they would set up these tours, and the cotton industry then supported her efforts. And so here's just, she was interviewed. She was a queen and represented both cotton, but also she represented Oklahoma A&M very well as an ambassador, both for the cotton industry and for Oklahoma State University. So
when was this?
So I believe she was selected in the 50s.
Okay.
I'm not sure the exact time. I'm a little sketchy
but
on that.
But
in the 50s. So Melinda Barry, she's from the Barry family here in Stillwater. And then Delois Faulkner was the other woman who'd been selected a few years before that. But there's just, we have just, and what's great about, we get a lot of photographs sometimes when we don't have any information about them. What's great about these is this has a description of the dress she's in, what the event was, and so we have all that metadata that we can attach to those images. And so it's just a wonderful collection. I think it's for folks in a lot of different disciplines. Once again, marketing, promotion, fashion and design. There's just all kinds of ways, but it's all examples of use of cotton for clothing. So it's a wonderful collection. And we're still kind of processing it. So this is one that is not quite ready for prime time yet, but it's close.
Right. Close.
And like I said, we just have been receiving material from Mrs. Fisher this year. So we really appreciate her willingness to share this part of her life with us. She's also shared other material with us. I believe it was her grandmother who was the second woman graduate of Oklahoma A&M. I'll need to clarify that if I'm wrong, but that's, and I think she was named for her. So. Okay, how are we doing?
You're doing great.
So now we've got another cotton collection, but notice a cotton theme. So we had James Cotton, then we had Belinda Harry Fisher. I'm not sure if we did this on purpose or not, but
I don't know if we did.
Yeah,
I cannot answer that.
But then we had the Maid of Cotton, and now we have materials from the Robert Cotton collection. Now, Robert Cotton was Jim's father, and Robert Cotton, interesting story. I believe he was a butcher. Spent, I think, most of his time in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, but he was fascinated with, first of all, with like traveling shows. So like Pawnee Bill would have, a traveling Wild West show. Buffalo Bill had traveling, but he was interested, Robert Cotton was interested in those kinds of traveling events. Also interested in traveling theaters. You have to remember at the time, there aren't motion pictures. And so for entertainment, these groups would travel around the country doing these productions. And he began collecting memorabilia from those kinds of events. And then as the traveling Western groups began moving into early movie production, so the silent films, Tom Mix and others, Robert Cotton was collecting pictures, items used in productions, just a variety of stuff. It's one of our largest and most eclectic collections is the Robert Cotton collection.
Sounds like it.
And so just a few items that we have here from this collection. Here is a whip. I'm not sure if it's a bull whip, I don't know what kind of whip this is, but it's a whip. It was probably used as a prop in some movie or television. Here are packets of cigarettes. I'm not sure if they still have cigarettes in them or not, but there's different kinds of cigarettes. But most likely these were used as some kind of prop or something in a TV or movie production. What else do we have in here? I'm just kind of, here is a pipe. It's like a clay pipe. Now some of this stuff was kind of authentic, and some of it was produced just for use. And so this pipe happens to be made in Germany. I'm not sure how many cowboys smoked German-made pipes, but what do we have here? Just a little statue of a Canadian mounted policeman. Like I said, it is a.
Yeah, it seems like there's just a little bit of everything.
There's a little bit of everything. This is a mounted policeman, Canadian mounted policeman from Niagara Falls, Canada. I'll just pull out one more item. What do we have here? So this is another pipe. I think. It looks like it could be a pipe.
Yeah.
Has kind of an Aztec or Central American motif to it. Anyway, he collected a variety of things, and I think we have probably over 50 boxes of this stuff. And there's heavy things. There's things like a blacksmith would use, from smithing. And of course, during that kind of period material, there's going to be blacksmiths that need pincers and tongs and hammers and all that kind of stuff. And so this is a part of the Robert Cotton collection. And we're very fortunate that he was, and the family was willing to give this to us. And then of course, his son, Jim, has continued to share with us from the family. So appreciate that as well. Okay. We'll just pack everything up later. Okay, looks like we have one more box.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do. Oh, okay. So I'll pull out a few items here for us. Oh my goodness. This is a part of our David Oberhelman collection. Dr. Oberhelman was a part of the library faculty for a number of years. He passed away about 2 years ago, but he had an interest in kind of all things J.R. Tolkien and kind of fantasy, but especially Tolkien. And so we received a number of books. This is kind of the... Oh. Not sure if I can. Yeah, that's how. So, a number of books, videotapes, some very rare and unique items related to Tolkien, but then a number of objects that David had collected. And his brother Richard and the family were very generous once again in donating those materials to us. And so what we did is we made a home for it, and it's taken us a while to process through all of it. But it's a fascinating collection. But the unusual part for us was the number of objects. We're pretty good at handling paper and photographs, but objects are a little unusual for us. And so we've tried to provide secure homes for this material. And I don't know as much as I should about the stories. But we have this material for someone who is interested in this kind of stuff. We were happy to bring it out and let them look at it and handle it. And most of these are limited editions of things. This is, there are only 4,000 of this produced, and this is number 555. And so David was quite a collector. And was very... This doesn't have a limited edition. So anyway, it's just a variety of things from mostly Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, anything related to J.R. Tolkien, and then other fantasy writers. David also collected those to a lesser extent. But we're very, very sorry that of his passing, but we're very appreciative of the family's generosity and letting us provide a home for this material going forward so that others can take advantage of his interest. So,
well, David, one last question before we go.
Okay.
You've mentioned a couple of times today about seeing these items in person. If somebody wanted to see these items in person, how could they do that?
Just let us know. It'd be helpful if they let us know beforehand. So if they're interested in maybe a particular collection or group of materials, they can contact us through the archives department. We have a phone number, and then they also can contact us by email or text. And then what we'll try to do is make sure that we will pull those items for them. We have materials stored at 3 different locations. So if they contact us beforehand, we can identify what exactly they're looking for, and then we'll try to have it pulled and ready for them when they come and visit with us. So if they just show up, I mean, we'll try, but if it's off at another location, it may take us several hours. So it really is helpful if they could contact us beforehand. We will make our best effort to pull exactly what they're looking for. Sometimes we have sent inventories to people, and they say, "Oh, I don't need that. I want this stuff in box 3 is what we're looking for." And so we'll pull box 3 for them and have it available. They need to come to the east side of the second floor at Menlo Library, where the archives reading room is located. That's where we provide all of our materials to our patrons. They need to utilize and look at them there. We're open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, normally during the semester. But we're happy to work with people. And at times I've even made arrangements for other hours if they have a group that needs to come in and maybe they can't meet during those regular 8 to 5 hours. So just please contact us and we'll try to work with them to make them available. I mean, that's why we're collecting this material in the first place. We don't want to just collect it and hide it.
Right.
We want people to be able to utilize it. And so the more we can do to work with them beforehand to make their visit as productive as possible, that's what we'll try to do.
Great. Well, David, thank you for chatting with us today. And of course, thank you to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like it and share it with all your friends. For more information about the archives and more photos and posts, you can check out the archives Facebook page. You can also check out videos from the archives on OState TV and YouTube. Websites will be listed at the end of this video. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next month on Archives Live.